Morning, friends.
Hello. Welcome back. Might have forgotten us. It's been a million years. A million trillion years.
I thought we died.
Yep. We did not, just our souls.
Mm.
We're the Creepy and Weird podcast. In case you forgot.
Indeed.
Should we even tell them our names, or are they going to guess? Let's guess. I want to be Gertrude today. What a new name.
Yeah.
Gertrude. It's good. My name's Gertrude.
Right. I'm going to be Amata because that's the name I had in Latin class, and I'm in my Roman drag.
I'm just feeling the monochromatics, which is why Gertrude seems good. No. We're going to talk about stuff today. What are we talking about? What are we going to enlighten our viewers with?
Good morning, fellow travelers. I hope you're doing as well as can be expected. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite writers, Ray Bradbury. And I wish I could remember which teacher it was that gave us the Xerox copy of the Velt.
Yeah. Ooh, I know. It was Mr. Winter.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Winter.
To read. So when we were in school, science fiction was just that. It was science fiction. Fiction.
Yeah.
Speculative fiction.
Yes.
And I would have preferred that it stayed that way.
Right.
But between E.M. Forster's short story The Machine Stops and Ray Bradbury's short story The Veldt and the film Soylent Green, the present is getting pretty close to catching up with science fiction of the past.
Yeah.
This makes me very anxious because most science fiction of the past, the good science fiction anyway, was written as a sort of warning of what might come if we're not careful. And we haven't been careful.
Yeah. Don't trust the AI. I let mine control my entire house.
And people are out there thinking, why do we need to read these dumb stories in English classes? Why do we need literature?
I don't think that the Veldt is actually a dumb story, though. I love that story. Mm-hmm. I think it is a great science fiction electronic babysitter cautionary tale. It really is.
Mm-hmm. And why do we need literature? Writers aren't doing anything important, right? And then people don't want to pay for books because they can download them. Well, some of us write things, and that's how we pay the bills, by writing things. So support living authors, as a side note. And buy used books from dead authors, sure, but support the ones who are alive.
What if I download all the... I buy all the books I download.
Well, I had someone the other day say, well, why would you buy a physical copy of a book? Well, for one thing, they can't delete it. Like, Amazon can, delete the shit from your library if they want to. And they can't do that from your bookshelf.
I haven't had any issues with it, though. I will say that. I've had my Kindle account for 13 years now.
The bigger problem for me is that if I buy an ebook, I won't read it. And if I buy a physical book, I'll read it. Because I'll forget that the ebook exists.
See, for me, when it comes to physical books, I like some of my Song of Ice and Fire books. It's they have the pretty pictures in them. And, some of the various, coffee table books. Stuff like that. That's where I really, but when it, I just got so used to I can't even say my Kindle because that wasn't even my first e-reader. Mm-hmm. My first e-reader was a Sony, and it was the kind to get the books you had to go online and buy them from the store, and then and to be honest, it was way easier to pirate EPUBs. Mm-hmm. For that particular e-reader. But then I ended up getting my Kindle Fire when the Kindle Fire first came out. And so I just got used to reading books. And the thing that I love is I could read books at night and not have to have the light on. Right. And so I think using that, as long as I'm just used to it, a book feels weird in my hands now. But I appreciate both formats. Mm. Because I just like to read.
Yeah. Whatever works for you,
Right. I mean, I do hate the digital, reader shame sometimes. Like, and it's funny to me, like, and I get it. I get both sides. I get both sides, and I get what you're saying. You can't delete a book, but they can burn them in the cloud. AI will just get rid of it for us.
So just as a short excerpt here, I have, I wouldn't want the nursery locked up ever, said Peter coldly. Ever. Matter of fact, we're thinking about turning the whole house off for a month. And keep in mind that the whole house is like electronic in the story, the Veld, and I'll have to introduce that.
Yes.
Since I forgot to, to do that slightly better. But, live sort of a carefree, one-for-all existence. That sounds dreadful. Would I have to tie my own shoes instead of letting the shoe tire do it? And brush my own teeth and comb my own hair and give myself a bath? It would be fun for a change, don't you think? No, it would be horrid. I don't like it when you took out the picture painter last month. That's because I wanted you to learn to paint all by yourself, son. I don't want to do anything but look and listen and smell. What else is there to do? All right, go play in Africa. Will you shut off the house sometime soon? We're considering it. I don't think you'd better consider it any more, Father. I won't have any threats from my son. Very well. And Peter strolled off to the nursery. So this is a story about, like, the walls of the house are like...
It's an artificial simulation.
Yeah.
It's an AI simulation, yeah.
It's virtual reality. Like...
Yes. To the nth with smell-o-vision. It's virtual reality is channeled through William Castle.
And they get so used to passively consuming things rather than doing things. There's also another theme in there.
Yes, which you can tie into modern the freaking kids and video games. And I mean, I don't want to say that, like, I'm not going to say video games. I'm going to retract that. Kids and screen time in general.
Yeah.
Be it computer, like, I mean, I remember having all of this stuff when I was younger. Computer, video game console, all of that. But we would still go outside and we would still socialize with other people. Where now it's like this story to me as a parent, I'm like, I totally get it, man. I have to thank God I have the Xfi thing with Xfinity, because like I've had to like totally like kill my kids' internet for their devices, just to. Which, I'm sorry, that's what the parents...
I just think of it as, like, also
should have turned off the internet.
Yeah, a lot of people, like, passively consuming, and I know people like Jaron Lanier have written that instead of people who might have written books or written poetry or something before, or end up just like shit posting on the internet instead, and just like a lot of wasted energy goes into data collection rather than like creative pursuits sometimes also. But yeah, there was also the Facebook files on the Wall Street Journal's website, which I had a quote on here. And it says, Jeff Horowitz says, as the company's platforms become sort of increasingly ingrained in our lives, the decisions they make and the priorities they have is something that affects everybody, even if you don't use the platform, which is also a good point there. And so even if you aren't on Facebook ever, you're still living in Facebook's world. For a select few members of our community, we're not enforcing our policies and standards. This is a quote about how they're doing, how they have special groups where the rules don't apply, and that sort of skews everything also. So these people can violate our standards without any consequences, because I will link to those. Where is the... Wait a minute. Crosscheck program was about allowing high-profile accounts to break rules. Rules don't apply to everybody. They would exempt people for being famous because they were making money for the platform. Donald Trump and Mark Zuckerberg are whitelisted. Media personalities and senators didn't have to play by the same rules. They expected that these accounts would behave themselves, and they did not.
And yet, I've spent my fair share of time in Twitter jail over, posting 2 posts back to back too fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, so that's... And then people also get this mindset of, like, so-and-so can do this, why can't I do it? And then, like, they keep doing it and keep misbehaving and then, like, complaining about how it's a First Amendment violation and it's not because it's a privately owned company.
Right.
It's not the government shutting you down.
It's kind of like you don't have the right to walk into a library and yell whatever you want to.
Yeah.
And that's always been my rule of thumb with social media too. Like, would I walk into a place and yell this out? No, I wouldn't. Okay, then I'm not going to post that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is bad because I've posted some really weird things. So.
But yeah, so then you have people yelling about censorship on the right as well as on the left because none of it seems to make sense. If so-and-so can say a certain thing, why can't I? Well, son, basically Facebook doesn't think you matter as much as other people.
You're not marketable. There's no profit for what you have to say.
All pigs are equal. Some are more equal than others. At this point, we're probably locked into a dystopia, and we have to individually save ourselves because we can't save everyone else anymore. That ship has sailed. So they have protected accounts just for being a certain size, having a certain following, being famous, even if the person was famous for no good reason. They protected the accounts of dogs, like Doug the Pug. Dogs can post more controversial stuff on social media than you can. Doug the Pug.
How can the dog agree to the terms of services?
They can't.
It's a dog.
Yeah.
It can't. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and other people, like regular people, are not supposed to have pet accounts because of that. Because it's not a real name policy, So Doug the Pug sounds great to me. I don't follow him. I'm a dachshund kind of guy, but it begins to be problematic to, when the rules or lack of rules that you're applying to Doug the Pug apply to people who are known to spread misinformation but were famous or are authoritarian dictators or just people with large followings spreading conspiracy theories without any evidence, and people tend to just believe things that famous people say for no reason. So the moderators were unable to do things like delete soccer player Neymar da Silva Santos nude photos of a woman who had accused him of sexual assault, even though there is a non-consensual nudity rule on Facebook. So this woman's name and nude photos stayed online for 24 hours and reviewed more than 50 million times on people's Facebook feeds. Facebook removed more than 3,500 accounts impersonating her, but the guy who posted the images in question eventually just got his post removed. He didn't get banned or anything because he's famous, and that makes Facebook money.
Right.
So this is also what Jaron Lanier is talking about in his book about social media, namely that algorithms don't have morality. They just know what's popular and what creates engagement.
What's trending.
Yes.
Yeah, what's trending. That's what matters, It's all just ad revenue. Pay per click.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but there are also a lot of studies that have shown, increasing black and white thinking and anger in people and
yes,
divisiveness. Yes,
because you and I are with other people, we're like internet of old, and there was a complete language that we had. So even though we weren't speaking with each other, like in the same room, we could convey tonal inflection.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Like if I all caps you, you'd be like, dude, why are you yelling at me? And then we get Facebook, social media happens. It makes the internet easy for people who otherwise had zero interest in it because they put that app on every single freaking burner prepaid phone that comes down the pike.
Yeah, the price of admission went down.
Yes, it totally did. It totally did. And the Ferris wheels busted. Um, and yeah, so they don't know this like language that us early adopter nerds had already developed and had been, working on for years. And so they just come in and they're like all caps because they don't know how to make it uncap on their iPhone.